I paid mortgage for 5 years then my parents laughed you're just our paying Leech this was always your sister's house. Dad laughed you were just our ATM thanks for paying loser they laughed until I made them crawl. When I first signed the papers, I thought I was building a future. The bank officer slid the stack toward me, and my hands shook as I scrawled my name, the ink heavy on the page. I was only 20 at the time, juggling 2 jobs, barely able to afford my car insurance, but when Mom and Dad said they needed help with their dream home, I said yes without thinking. That's what family was supposed to mean. The house was beautiful white siding, a porch swing, windows that glowed gold in the evening. I told myself every payment I made was for us, for the family, for the stability they always said we lacked. One day, Mom had told me, her voice syrupy, "You'll be so glad you did this. This house will always be part of you." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments, from where are you watching this video? But I should have known, promises in my family were never gifts, they were traps. Every month, I drained my paycheck into the mortgage. Rent for my tiny apartment was late more than once, but the bank draft for the house never missed. Dad would clap me on the back and say, "That's my hard-working kid." Mom would post photos on Facebook of herself watering the front lawn, bragging about our house. Her friends commenting about how lucky she was. I never corrected them. I thought my turn would come. Rachel, my sister, never lifted a finger. She floated in and out, living with boyfriends, splurging on trips, always dressed in new clothes. Why should she pay? Mom once snapped when I asked why Rachel never contributed. "She's the face of this family. You're the backbone. Be proud of your role." I bit my tongue and went back to work. Years blurred together birthdays, Christmases, Thanksgivings, all hosted in that house. Every time guests admired it, Mom and Dad beamed. "Our pride and joy," Dad would say, raising his glass. Rachel would roll her eyes at me and whisper, "You really think they'll ever give you credit?" I'd ignore her, but in the pit of my stomach, her words festered. By the 5th year, the strain was breaking me. My shoes had holes, my savings account was empty, but the house gleamed like a trophy in their hands. I thought maybe finally they would acknowledge it. Maybe a conversation about transferring part of the deed, maybe even a simple thank you. Instead, one rainy Thursday evening, I came home from work and found them all sitting in the living room. Mom sipping wine, Dad flipping through paperwork, Rachel smirking like she'd already won something. "Sit down," Dad said. His tone was too casual. My stomach tightened. He laid the papers on the coffee table. A deed transfer. Rachel's name, not mine. My chest hollowed out. What is this?" Mom's laugh was sharp, like glass breaking. "This was always Rachel's house," she said. "You didn't really think we'd hand it to you, did you? You, the Leech?" My throat tightened. "Leech? I paid every cent for 5 years. I sacrificed everything." Rachel leaned forward, her smile dripping with cruelty. "And now you get nothing. That's what you were always good for, sis, paying bills for people who matter more." Dad's chuckle joined hers, low and final. "Be proud. You kept a roof over our heads until the real owner was ready. Now get out." The room spun. Their laughter bounced off the walls. Every drop of sweat, every sleepless night, every double shift I had poured into that house collapsed into ash in a single moment. I staggered to my feet, the weight of their betrayal crushing down. My heart was racing, my hands trembling, but I said nothing. Not one word, because in that silence something else was forming. They thought I was finished. They thought they had broken me into nothing more than a leech. But leeches don't starve. They wait, they cling, and when the time comes they drain everything. And that night, as I walked out of the house I had paid for but never owned, I swore to myself I wasn't done. Not yet. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake in my apartment, staring at the water-stained ceiling, my body heavy but my mind alive with fire. Their words kept replaying, each one sharper than the last. "Leech, this was always Rachel's house. Get out." My phone buzzed just after midnight. A message from Rachel. A photo of her standing in the kitchen I had paid for. Wineglass in hand, captioned, "Home Sweet Home." Her grin in the picture was smug, almost daring me to break. The next morning I dragged myself to work. Customers came and went. My boss droned about deadlines. But I wasn't really there. I was replaying every sacrifice, every check I had written, every dinner where they toasted the house like it was their crown jewel. 5 years of my life swallowed whole and they spat me out like garbage. At lunch, I opened my bank app and scrolled through the records. Payment after payment, drafted on time, never missed. I traced the pattern with my finger, each number a reminder of how much I had given them. I realized then I had been documenting my own slavery without knowing it. Proof, neat and cold, that I wasn't a leech. Proof that they had used me. By the end of that week, Rachel was already redecorating. She posted photos online, new curtains, a gold mirror, a caption that read, "Finally in my forever home." The comments rolled in. "So proud of you, Rachel. You deserve it," my mother chimed in. Our beautiful daughter's house. Not one mention of me. Not one acknowledgement of the years I had carried them. I stopped eating with my coworkers. I stopped answering Daniel's texts. I poured every ounce of energy into collecting screenshots of my payments, copies of the bank drafts, Rachel's smug posts, old text messages where my parents begged me to cover just one more month until we're stable. It was all there, a trail of evidence that told the real story. The following Sunday, I drove by the house. Music thumped from inside, laughter spilling out into the street. Through the front window, I saw Rachel's friends sprawled across the furniture, drinking wine. Their shoes kicked off onto the rug I had bought as a housewarming gift. My parents were there too. Dad puffed his chest in front of his buddies, bragging about Rachel finally making it. Mom floated from guest to guest, her voice dripping with pride. She worked so hard for this house, she said. I nearly choked on the words. Rachel worked? She hadn't paid a dime. And yet, no one questioned it. Not one person asked where I was or why I wasn't invited. I sat in my car for nearly an hour, staring at the front door. My fists clenched on the steering wheel. They had erased me, scrubbed me out of the story I had built with my own money. But as I sat there in the dark, watching shadows flicker through the windows of my house, I realized something. They wanted me to storm in, to scream, to demand credit. They wanted to see me beg. That's how they had always won, by making me explode, then calling me crazy. Not this time. This time, I would let them dig their own graves and then I'd hand them the shovel. Over the next few weeks, I watched carefully. I followed every one of Rachel's posts. I listened when coworkers whispered about my dad's business deals. I remembered how Mom always bragged about her social circle, her perfect family. She paraded like trophies. I pieced together the web they had spun around themselves, fragile, glittering, desperate for admiration. That was their weakness. And I had 5 years of proof, sharpened like a knife, ready to cut through every lie they had built. I wasn't going to just take back what was mine. I was going to make them beg for mercy in front of the very people they had chosen over me. The invitation came a month later, a housewarming party. Rachel sent it to everyone in the family group chat, attaching a glossy photo of her smiling in front of the house, my house. The caption was nauseating. Can't wait to celebrate with everyone who matters. I wasn't on the guest list. Of course I wasn't. But I didn't need an invitation. I needed an audience. That Saturday, I walked up to the porch just as the music inside swelled. Cars lined the street, the driveway full. Through the windows, I saw people clinking glasses, admiring the house, congratulating my parents. Mom glided from group to group, beaming. Dad stood near the fireplace, retelling the same tired jokes, his buddies slapping him on the back. Rachel soaked it all in. Her crown moment, the star of the show. I pushed open the door. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. For a moment, silence wrapped the room. Rachel's smile froze. "What are you doing here?" she snapped, her voice sharp. I didn't answer her. Instead, I walked straight to the center of the living room, set down the box I had carried, and pulled out my laptop. "Since you're all celebrating this house," I said, my voice steady, "let's talk about who really paid for it." I tapped the keys. The projector Rachel had set up for her slideshow flickered to life. But instead of her curated photos, the first image was a bank statement. My name? My payments. 5 years of them. The room gasped. Slide after slide filled the screen, the mortgage receipts, the automatic drafts from my account, the text messages from Mom begging me to cover just another month. Dad promising, "This is yours to one day." My parents' faces drained of color. Mom dropped her wineglass. It shattered on the hardwood. Dad took a step forward, but the whispers in the room stopped him cold. And then Rachel's messages appeared. "She's dumb enough to pay for us. Mom made sure she'll never get the house." Laughter filled with emojis. Her friends in the room gasped, turning to stare at her with disgust. Rachel lunged for me, but I held up my hand. "Don't bother. There's more." The final slide appeared, a video clip from my phone. My father's voice, smug. "Be proud. You kept a roof over our heads until the real owner was ready. Now get out." My mother's laugh followed. The silence that followed was suffocating. Guests shifted, muttered. Some shook their heads. One of Dad's oldest friends muttered, "You used her." I turned to face my parents. 5 years I bled for this house. 5 years I worked until my body broke. And you, I pointed at Dad, called me a leech. You, I looked at Mom, laughed while you stole everything from me. And you, my eyes locked on Rachel, called it your forever home. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't crack. I had never felt more steady in my life. "On your knees," I said, my words cold, final. They froze. "Beg me," I continued, "or I'll make sure every person in this room, every neighbor, every colleague, every one of your precious friends sees this proof. I'll burn your reputation down the way you burned me." For the first time in my life, I watched fear spread across their faces. Real fear. Dad's knees buckled first. He dropped his pride, shattering louder than Mom's glass. His hand shook as he muttered, "I'm sorry." Mom followed, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Please," she sobbed. "Don't do this, please." Rachel collapsed beside them, tears streaming, her voice cracking. I didn't mean it, but I didn't soften. I stood taller, letting every guest watch them kneel on the floor of the house I had built, the house they had stolen. "This is the real family," I said to the room. The perfect parents, the golden child, on their knees, begging the one they called a leech. Whispers swirled. People turned away from them. The admiration, the envy, the respect, gone. I shut my laptop, tucked it back into the box and walked toward the door. My parents reached out, but I didn't stop. My son was waiting for me outside in the car. He looked up when I slid in beside him, his eyes wide. "Are you okay, Mom?" he asked softly. I smiled for the first time in weeks. "Better than okay. They'll never touch us again." As I drove away, the house glowed behind me in the dark, but it no longer looked like home. It looked like a tomb, the grave of their pride, their lies, their empire built on my back. And for the first time, I felt free.